The life of an artist is never smooth like a straight line. However, one cannot imagine life without art.
Only after 6 decades of the institutional development of the now popular game of cricket did Nepal get the opportunity to play in the World Cup. Although cricket was introduced in Nepal during the Rana regime, the sport was confined to a limited number of people, namely the elite. It all started with equipment brought by students returning from their studies in Britain and India. Although Cricket Association of Nepal (CAN) was established in 1947, cricket remained centered among a few affluent individuals and in limited tournaments for a long time. Starting with the Bishnu Trophy in 1948, tournaments were limited to competitions like the Madan Memorial Sealed, Jugal Kishore Trophy, Rammani Trophy, and later the Jai Trophy. Even as the sport expanded outside Kathmandu Valley, it took decades for cricket to develop at the grassroots level. After the International Cricket Council (ICC) granted Nepal affiliate membership in 1988, Nepali cricket embarked on its international journey. The rule of mandatory participation in tournaments by the ICC and the Asian Cricket Council (ACC) opened doors to international competition for Nepal. After participating in the Under-19 Asian tournament in Hong Kong in 1996, Nepal has not looked back. Winning titles at the Asian and global levels, Nepali cricket team continues its journey towards the pinnacle of world cricket.
Goes down the ground because he was given that line outside off stump. So the first boundary of the contest, a handsome one.
Initially confined to Turikhel in Kathmandu, many international tournaments were hosted in Nepal after an international standard ground was built in Kirtipur. Nepal has also shown its proactiveness in differently abled cricket tournaments like the T20 World Cup for the blind in 2012 and the Asian Cricket Tournament for the deaf. Nepali women's national cricket team has also achieved remarkable success in a short period of time. The latest addition in Nepali cricket is the floodlit Tribhuvan University Cricket Stadium and the Nepal Premier League that has provided opportunity for Nepali players to rub shoulders with world-class players.
Kathmandu has long been known as a place where natural beauty, history, culture, and spirituality come together in remarkable harmony. Rising above the western side of the valley stands Swambhunath, one of Nepal's most revered and ancient sites. Many simply call it Swayambhu. For countless generations, it has been a sanctuary of spiritual devotion, a place where the first light of morning touches the prayer flags and where monks and devotees begin their day in meditation and worship. Swayambhu is cherished by Buddhists from all over the world, yet it holds equal significance for many Hindus. This shared reverence creates a rare sense of unity within its sacred grounds.
Long before the birth of Lord Buddha, Sakyamuni, Buddhist tradition teaches that countless Buddhas have appeared in the universe and countless more will arise. Some teachings say that within the entire lifespan of this world system, many Buddhas, sometimes described as 1,000, will descend to guide beings. Among these, it is believed that 1,000 Buddhas are destined to visit and bless this sacred site. This Swayambhu Chaitya is said to have manifested during the era of the fourth Buddha of this world cycle. According to our scriptures, that Buddha descended from the heavens and alighted upon Nagarjuna hill. At that time, the Kathmandu valley was not land as we see today. It was a vast, tranquil lake. From within those waters, only the self-arisen Swayambhu appeared, standing above the surface like a radiant jewel. When the Buddha and his disciples saw this natural, elevated form, they marveled at its purity and power. What we see today from the outside, the golden spire, the dome, the painted eyes, is not the whole of it. Beneath these layers lies a perfectly pure, self-manifested Chaitya, said to be like luminous white metal, untouched by time. It arose spontaneously for the welfare of all beings. Those who come to Swayambhu with sincerity, who bow, circumambulate, or simply offer a moment of devotion, are believed to receive blessings that ease suffering, bring good fortune, and ultimately guide them toward liberation. The compassionate eyes of the Buddha, painted on all four sides, are a reminder that the Buddha's loving gaze extends to all living beings, humans, animals, birds, insects, every form of life. The Buddha wishes that all beings be free from suffering, that they find peace, and that no harm comes to anyone. The essence of the Buddha's message is simple: cultivate virtue, avoid causing harm, and keep the mind pure. If one person becomes peaceful, that peace naturally spreads to others. This is the heart of the Buddha's teachings.
The origins of Swayambhunath stretch back at least 2.5 millennia. Inscriptions and centuries-old statues found throughout the site testify to its long-standing presence and its profound cultural importance. The stupa itself is one of Nepal's traditional religious landmarks, crowned by the serene eyes of the Buddha that gaze out across all four directions. These eyes are regarded as a message of compassion, awareness, and peace for all beings. For Buddhists, the stupa and its symbols become a guide toward understanding the teachings of the Buddha. for Hindu visitors, the temples and images of deities within the complex hold deep spiritual meaning of their own.
In Buddhism, each month contains 5 significant sacred days. The 8th day, Ashtami, is considered especially important. On this day, we recite the teachings of the Medicine Buddha for healing and protection. The 10th day, Dasami, is dedicated to Vajraguru Padmasambhava. The full moon is honored with equal reverence and associated with the blessings of Vajrayogini. The new moon is dedicated to Mahakala, the great protector. It is believed that worship performed on these days yields vast merit and profound results. The Buddha's teachings remind us that beings have existed since beginningless time, and the cycle of life has no absolute start or end. What truly matters is learning how to live with compassion, harmony, and happiness here and now.
In 1989, Swayambhunath was formally recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, an honor that elevated Nepal's cultural identity on the global stage and helped protect this extraordinary place for future generations.
I'm from America. I was driving past and I saw the temple with the monkeys and I really wanted to know what that was, so I looked it up and I came here today to see the temple and all the monkeys.
First of all, we went to Nepal because we love this country and we wanted to see the environment. As Swayambhunath, we heard it's very important for the Nepali people, so we want to see how it is and how people, what people do here and how it looks like.
We heard it's a beautiful place to go, and we really should see it. And so I think we just walk up and see all the beauty of this place.
The surroundings of Swayambhu offer many places of interest. Pilgrims and travelers often find themselves captivated by the calm atmosphere and the panoramic views over the Kathmandu Valley. The architecture of the complex reflects a graceful blend of Nepali and Tibetan influences. The stupa follows ancient Nepali design traditions, while the monasteries and retreat houses that surround it reflect elements of Tibetan craftsmanship. These two styles together give Swayambhunath a distinctive character found nowhere else. Preserving Swayambhu is not only a religious responsibility, it is an effort guided equally by historical and cultural commitment. The temples, statues, and inscriptions within the complex carry stories that span centuries. The main stupa, crowned by the four compassionate eyes, remains the heart of the site. Monks gather each day to meditate and study. Within these halls, elaborate paintings and sacred sculptures portray episodes from the life of the Buddha and remind visitors of the spiritual traditions that continue to flourish here. The entrance to Swayambhunath features a gate designed to convey purity and reverence. Sculptures and painted figures on the gate reveal the guiding ideals of Buddhist philosophy. Scattered around the grounds are ancient inscriptions that preserve the history of the land. Statues of various Buddhas stand alongside images of Parvati and Shiva, creating a space where cultural diversity and shared devotion coexist with harmony. Swayambhunath is one of Nepal's most visited destinations. Its landscapes, spiritual gravity, and cultural richness draw people from around the world. Each year, millions of visitors, both local and international, climb the steps leading toward the stupa. Their presence contributes greatly to Nepal's tourism economy and to the livelihoods of those who live and work nearby.
स्वयम्भुनाथ परिसरमा रहेका स्मृति सामग्रीहरू जस्तै बुद्धका मूर्ति, थाङ्का, मालाहरू, गहना, धार्मिक सामग्रीहरूले व्यवसाय गर्ने व्यवसायीहरूको जीविकोपार्जन भइरहेको छ।
The number of tourists has increased significantly compared to previous years. Earlier, we used to have clear off-seasons, but now we see international visitors throughout the year. However, their spending capacity has dropped to less than what we used to get before. In the past, if a group of 30 tourists came into our shops, at least 20 of them would buy something. Today, only 2 or 3 of them make a purchase out of the same-sized group. Visitors also compare prices more carefully now, mainly because similar goods are widely available elsewhere. This shop is our family's livelihood, so these changes affect us deeply.
Craftspeople and merchants sell ritual objects, tankas, prayer beads, and other items used in Buddhist practice. These items connect not only with Nepali devotees, but also with those from Buddhist communities in China, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and beyond.
It has been about 7 years since I started my business along the circumambulation route of Swayambhu. Visitors are drawn here mainly because of the deep religious significance of this place. There are many gumbas and temples in the area, and Swayambhunath itself is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These species are revered by both Buddhists and Hindus, and it is this shared devotion that keeps the entire area vibrant and full of life.
The earthquake of 2015 brought significant destruction to Swayambhunath. Several structures collapsed and many priceless sculptures were damaged. The impact on the site's cultural heritage was deeply felt throughout the country. Yet, the response to this tragedy revealed the strength of the community. Local residents, government agencies, cultural experts, monks, and international organizations came together to restore the complex. The rebuilding process became more than a physical reconstruction. It became a spiritual effort guided by devotion and the hope of preserving peace and compassion for future generations. Today, visitors find improved pathways, restored shrines, and safe spaces from which to explore the site. Nearby, guest houses and small hotels offer comfortable places to stay for those who wish to spend more time experiencing the surroundings. For many, Swayambhu is not only a religious landmark but a symbol of introspection and inner calm. The peaceful environment encourages reflection. The sacred presence of the stupa gives visitors a sense of quiet strength. The eyes of the Buddha seem to guide those who come seeking balance, clarity, or a moment of stillness. As the sun rises, its light glimmers on the golden pinnacle of the stupa. And as the night falls, the view of Kathmandu from this hilltop feels almost otherworldly, as though the city below is touched by a gentle glow. Swayambhunath continues to stand as a reminder of the spiritual harmony that has shaped Nepal for centuries. It invites every visitor to pause, to breathe, and to discover a deeper part of themselves.
This is The World This Week, your weekly roundup of the latest international events and updates. This is me, Bhavna Casey. In this edition, we bring you the stories making headlines across the globe, from geopolitical tensions and major political developments to cultural celebrations and remarkable feats. We have all that you need. Let's begin with the developments from the Middle East, where tensions continue to prevail between Tehran and Washington. U.S. President Donald Trump says a ceasefire is still in place with Iran, despite a clash between Iran and U.S. naval destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz, for which both sides blame each other.
The U.S. said Iran launched missiles, drones, and small boats against 3 of its warships in what it called an unprovoked attack. President Trump said Iran trifled with us today.
Yeah, it is. They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
Iran's top military command, meanwhile, alleged the U.S. had targeted an Iranian oil tanker and another vessel approaching the Strait of Hormuz and carried out aerial attacks on several coastal areas. The flare-up comes a day after Iran's foreign ministry had said it was considering a U.S. proposal to end the war. In a further sign of the fragility of the ceasefire, early on Friday, the United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense said its air defenses were actively engaging with a missile and drone attack from Iran. Iranian state media initially reported explosions in the Strait of Hormuz, describing them as an exchange of fire with the enemy, what it called. Meanwhile, local media reported explosions were heard in Tehran. Not long after, a statement from Iran's top military command said U.S. aerial attacks struck the coast of Bandar Khamir, Sirik, and Kishim Island. U.S. Central Command CENTCOM described the Iranian attacks as unprovoked, saying Iranian forces launched multiple missiles, drones, and small boats as U.S. Navy-guided missiles destroyers transited through the strait. CENTCOM said it had eliminated inbound threats and targeted Iranian military facilities responsible for attacking U.S. forces, including missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance nodes. Meanwhile, posting on Truth Social, Trump said that the U.S. had destroyed multiple small boats, missiles, and drones, adding that great damage was done to the Iranian attackers.
Amid these ongoing geopolitical tensions, attention now turns to global public health concerns as World Health Organization says hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship in the South Atlantic is not a pandemic, even as officials confirm cases and trace passengers from the vessel where 3 people have died. An outbreak of hantavirus on board a cruise ship in the South Atlantic is not the start of a pandemic, the UN Health Agency had said. Maria Van Kerkhove, an infectious disease epidemiologist at the World Health Organization, told a news briefing that it was not the same situation as 6 years ago with COVID-19 because hantavirus spreads through close, intimate contact.
The risk to general public is low. This is not a virus that spreads like flu or like COVID. It's quite different.
Health authorities are racing to trace dozens of people who have recently disembarked from the Dutch vessel MV Hondius. On Thursday, the WHO said that overall 5 of 8 suspected cases of hantavirus had been confirmed. 3 people have died, including a 69-year-old Dutch woman who had the virus. WHO's Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that WHO had informed 12 countries whose nationals disembarked in St. Helena, adding that the WHO is also supporting health authorities in South Africa to trace people who are on the flight from St. Helena to Johannesburg with the woman who later died.
WHO has also informed 12 countries whose nationals disembarked in St. Helena. Those 12 countries are Canada, Denmark, Germany, the Netherlands, New Zealand, St. Kitts and Nevis, Singapore, Sweden, Switzerland, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. In addition, WHO is supporting health authorities in South Africa to follow up people who were on the flight from St. Helena to Johannesburg with the woman who later died.
The woman's Dutch husband and a German woman also died, and their cases are being investigated. Hantavirus typically spreads from rodents, but in the latest outbreak, the transmission between people was documented for the first time, according to the WHO. About 150 passengers and crew from 28 countries are reported to have initially been aboard the vessel, but dozens disembarked on the island of St. Helena on 24th April. All Press Freedom Day was marked this week amid growing concerns over media freedom, with Reporters Without Borders (RSF) saying press freedom has fallen to its lowest level in 25 years. All Press Freedom Day has been observed across the world with the theme Shaping a Future at Peace, promoting press freedom for human rights, development and security. Every year, May 3rd is observed as the World Press Freedom Day to evaluate press freedom around the world to defend the media from attacks on their independence. Meanwhile, press freedom has declined to its lowest level in 25 years, according to the latest annual rankings released by Reporters Without Borders (RSF). Its latest report, the 2026 World Press Freedom Index, details how the working environment for journalists is worsening worldwide. RSF Director General has warned that journalists across the world are increasingly facing legal and political pressure, with their work being criminalized through what he described as an expanding set of repressive laws.
Reporters sans frontières publie son classement mondial 2026 de la liberté de la presse. Il y a 3 faits saillants. Tout d'abord, la liberté de la presse est à son plus bas depuis que RSF le mesure, depuis 2002. Deuxièmement, nous voyons que la tendance annuelle, c'est la baisse très nette d'un indicateur qui est celui de l'indicateur légal. De plus en plus de journalistes nous font part de la criminalisation de leurs pratiques, avec un arsenal de lois répressives qui est déployé contre eux. Et puis troisièmement, les Amériques dévissent dans le classement. Les États-Unis perdent 7 places et puis on voit des pays d'Amérique latine qui connaissent un déclin assez net, assez prononcé. Je pense notamment à l'Équateur et au Pérou. C'est le fait.
The RSF further added conflicts and wars are emerging as a major driver, creating some of the most dangerous environments for journalists, restricting access to information, increasing censorship, and exposing reporters to violence, detention, and even death. Advocacy manager at RSF's Asia Pacific Bureau said that for the first time in the index's history, more than half of the world's countries now fall into difficult or very serious situations.
The overall score deteriorated in 2026, which again is quite a huge drop because last year it was almost 56 points out of 100. This year it's only 54 points. So we have 1 point drop within the global score. And that 94 countries now fall into the difficult and very serious categories.
The report also highlighted a notable decline in the United States, which fell 7 places in the rankings, underscoring concerns over growing challenges to press independence, even in established democracies. Nepal, meanwhile, tops South Asia in Press Freedom Index, ranking 87th out of 180 countries, followed by India at 157th, while Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Pakistan trail further behind, with Afghanistan ranking lowest in the South Asian region. Now to Central African Republic, where former child soldiers are learning sewing, baking, and other trades as aid groups work to help them rebuild their lives after years of conflict and trauma. This program has given children affected by armed groups a chance to return to normal life despite ongoing violence and funding shortages.
In the eastern city of Bria of Central African Republic, former child soldiers are learning sewing and other trades as part of efforts to rebuild their lives after years of conflict. It is a way to help the 14 to 17-year-olds move on from the violence they suffered at the hands of the country's many armed groups. Teachers with the Esperance charity say working with the teenagers can be difficult, as many still struggle with trauma, stress, and lingering effects of violence. The region, rich in diamonds, has long been destabilized by armed groups, with conflicts intensifying again in recent months despite earlier peace agreements and disarmament programs. According to UNICEF, around 2,000 children in the Central African Republic remain associated with armed groups. At the peak of the 2013-2018 civil war, about 20 armed factions operated in the east, though that number has since declined to 14. Survivors, like a 14-year-old girl once abducted by the Unit for Peace, one of the largest rebel groups in the Central African Republic, say training programs are helping them regain a sense of normal life. Others, like a 16-year-old boy now working as a baker, continue to cope with painful memories of exploitation and harsh treatment. Aid groups provide both vocational training and psychological support, but demand is rising as more children leave armed groups through disarmament efforts. However, limited funding, largely due to the recent drop-off in international funding like US aid, has left organizations unable to assist all those in need, raising concerns about the future of rehabilitation programs in the region.
To technological advancement, Asia also saw major scientific progress this week as South Korea successfully launched its next-generation mid-sized satellite number 2 aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket after a 4-year delay. South Korea's next-generation mid-sized satellite number 2 has been successfully launched aboard SpaceX Falcon 9 following a 4-year delay. The satellite lifted up at 3:59 p.m. Korea Standard Time on Monday and entered orbit approximately 75 minutes later after establishing communication with a ground station in Norway. Developed by a South Korean private company, the satellite's primary mission is Earth observation, including disaster monitoring such as wildfires and flooding. It will also support mapping and urban planning activities. Originally scheduled for launch in 2022 aboard a Russian rocket, the mission was postponed due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, followed by further delays that extended the timeline by 4 years. The satellite will operate alongside its predecessor launched in 2021, enabling more frequent revisit cycles and faster production of 3D imagery, according to the Korea Aerospace Administration. Following a 4-month testing phase, full operation deployment is expected in the second half of this year. Shifting from space technology to cultural nostalgia, where Europe witnessed a unique fan gathering this week. Sherlock Holmes enthusiasts from different countries gathered in Switzerland to celebrate the detective's enduring legacy with a dramatic reenactment.
At Switzerland's Reichenbach Falls, around 60 members of Sherlock Holmes Society of London gathered in Victorian-style costumes to recreate the fictional duel between Sherlock Holmes and Professor Moriarty. The scene is inspired by Arthur Conan Doyle's 1891 story, in which Holmes and Moriarty are believed to have fallen to their deaths at the dramatic waterfall. Fans traveled through several Holmes-related sites in Switzerland before arriving in Meiringen for a funicular ride up to the 120-meter-high falls. Participants dressed as characters from the stories, including Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, Professor Moriarty, and others, fully embracing the Victorian theme. Many said the experience felt immersive, with the setting's mist and roar adding to the atmosphere of Doyle's fictional world. The dramatic reenactment included the iconic struggle between Holmes and Moriarty, followed by Watson discovering the detective's farewell note. The event marked the Society's 75th anniversary and brought together enthusiasts from different countries, many attending for the first time. Participants said the gathering offers a shared space for fans to celebrate their passion for the stories and the intricate details. Despite Holmes' fictional death at this site, his legacy continues to draw devoted followers to the Swiss landmark more than a century later.
From historical fiction to cutting-edge innovation, where robots capable of performing a wide range of tasks took center stage at the 9th Digital China Summit, as China showcased thousands of new technologies and innovations in daily life and industry applications.
A dazzling array of multi-talented robot assistants took center stage at the 9th Digital China Summit in Fuzhou City, southeast China's Fujian province, covering a wide spectrum of daily life and industrial scenarios. The summit features more than 6,000 technologies, products, and application projects with robot assistants among the most captivating exhibits. Replacing human volunteers and performers, domestically developed full-scene robots can now greet and guide guests, dance, and even write calligraphy. Powered by rapidly advancing embodied intelligence, these machines are making the leap from the laboratory to reality. In addition to humanoids, robot dogs are emerging as ideal babysitters and guide dogs. Beyond daily life, robots are also clocking in at an accelerating pace across the industrial sector. Some participating companies also demonstrated the training process for embodied intelligence robots to handle non-standardized production tasks, ranging from sorting diverse industrial parts and taking on packaging tasks.
Thousands of transgender people from across India gathered at the South Indian temple for the annual Aravan festival that offers spiritual meaning and a rare sense of acceptance for the community.
For a few days each year, members of India's often marginalized transgender community gather in large numbers at a unique religious festival that offers both spiritual significance and rare social acceptance. Centered around the Kutandawar temple, the annual festival attracts transgender participants, many of whom identify as part of the transgender, also called Hijra community, from across the country. The event is dedicated to Aravan, a figure from Hindu mythology whose story holds deep cultural and symbolic meaning for transgender devotees. According to tradition, Aravan agreed to be sacrificed before a great battle in the epic Mahabharata, but requested to experience marriage before his death. The god Krishna is believed to have taken the form of a woman to fulfill this wish, a narrative that has become central to the festival's rituals and its significance for gender-diverse communities. During the event, participants take part in symbolic marriage ceremonies to Aravan, followed by mourning rituals that reenact his death. The ceremonies blend religious devotion with cultural expression, including music, dance, and communal gatherings. For many attendees, the festival represents more than a religious observance. It serves as a rare space of inclusion in a society where transgender individuals often face stigma, discrimination, and limited economic opportunities. During the festival, participants report a sense of visibility, dignity, and belonging that is often absent in their daily lives. Local authorities say the event has grown in scale in recent years, drawing increased attention from tourists, researchers, and rights advocates. While it remains rooted in tradition, the gathering is also seen as highlighting broader conversations around gender identity and social inclusion in India.
Thousands of dancers filled the main square in Armenia's capital, turning the city center into a vibrant open-air stage to mark International Dance Day with a large-scale public performance.
Thousands of dancers gathered in the main square of Armenia's capital, Yerevan, to mark International Dance Day with a large-scale public performance that turned the city center into a mass cultural stage. According to the Armenian Ministry of Education, Science, Culture and Sport, approximately 4,000 participants took part in the event. The ministry said the gathering brought together dancers of different ages and backgrounds, highlighting the country's efforts to promote cultural expression and public participation in the arts. The celebration took place in the city's center square, where performers filled the open space with synchronized routines and traditional as well as contemporary choreography. Organizers described the event as part of broader initiatives to encourage engagement with national culture and strengthen community involvement through performing arts. International Dance Day is observed globally each year as a celebration of dance as an art form and a means of cultural exchange.
Artists in Botswana are capturing the energy of the World Athletics relays in real time using live painting from the stadium stands to transform sporting moments into lasting works of the art. Artists in Botswana are documenting the World Athletics relays through live painting, offering a creative interpretation of athletes' performances from the stadium's stands. Commissioned for the event, local artists are using brushes and canvas to depict the movement, strength, and form of competitors participating in the World Athletics relays. The live artworks are emerging as lasting visual records of the event, capturing moments that extend beyond the finish line. Artist Gomolemo Khoshemi Dimos said the concept behind the project is to merge sport and art with the aim of capturing the excitement, energy, and joy of the event.
Well, this whole idea was centered around the concept sports and art, sports and art. So it was just to capture the excitement, the energy, the joy of the event.
Artist Jode said the project provides an alternative to digital recording, focusing on translating the movements and muscles of athletes into visual art.
Cameras and smartphones to capture moments like this, as we capture it using brushes, canvas, and paint.
Organizers say the initiative aims to combine sport and creativity, highlighting Botswana's creative community while enhancing the spectator's experience. The project has drawn attention from visitors, with artists working in real time to produce pieces that reflect the energy and atmosphere of the international competition. From modern art and canvas to traditional sporting heritage, as spectators gathered in Japan to watch traditional bullfighting, a centuries-old event where bulls lock horns in controlled matches that end in ties to prevent injury. Spectators flock to a city in Niigata Prefecture to see bulls lock horns in traditional Japanese bullfighting. The event is designated as Important Intangible Folk Cultural Property. The cities of Oziya and Nagaoka in central Japan hold several matches every year during the season. Oziya held this year's first event on Sunday involving 36 bulls. The matches have two bulls face off, locking horns and pressing against each other as their handlers shout encouragement. Every bout was brought to an end in a tie to prevent the animals from getting hurt. One visitor in his 80s said it was his first time to see it and he could really feel the strong impacts from the classes. An official from a group promoting the city's bullfighting tradition said he wants to make the city event widely known. The city will hold a tournament every month through November. From traditional events to evolving travel experiences, as Vietnam is reshaping its tourism industry through large-scale cultural festivals and immersive performances that blend history, tradition, and modern entertainment to attract both locals and international visitors.
Across Vietnam, a new wave of cultural festivals and artistic performances is transforming the tourism landscape. These events, which now feature a larger scale and more professional production, are drawing significant attention from both local and international visitors, while also enhancing the overall tourism experience in the country. One of the standout examples of this cultural evolution is the Mystical Royal Palace program at the Imperial Citadel of Hue. This event, a modern and vivid interpretation of Vietnam's royal history, has become a major draw for tourists. Visitors are not only treated to dramatic reenactments of Vietnam's imperial past, but also participate in immersive activities like the Royal Banquet Night and the Imperial Cuisine Experience. Meanwhile, the Ha Long Carnival 2026 is offering a fresh and modern approach to cultural tourism. This event, with its lively street performances, dynamic circus acts, and vibrant dances, has become a massive hit for both locals and tourists. What sets the Ha Long Carnival apart is its ability to fuse the traditions of local ethnic communities with modern international entertainment. These events are part of a broader trend in Vietnam where localities are actively revitalizing their cultural offerings to make them more attractive and engaging. This cultural renewal is positioning Vietnam as a top destination for tourists seeking a deeper, more meaningful travel experience.
Well, it brings us to the end of this episode of The World This Week. We hope you enjoyed as much as we did bringing it to you. We shall see you again next week with a new episode. And please do follow us on our website, www.nepaltelevision.com, our social media handles, as well as our YouTube channel. Till then, take care and bye-bye.
In the high mountains, where the air thins and silence deepens, an ancient discipline endures. More than art, this is meditation in motion. A prayer woven into canvas, finding the divine within. This is Thangka.
Thangka भने चाहिँ त्यो समतल भूमि भने हो के हैन त्यो स्पेस भने हो त्यो रेसेमा पनि तपाईले सेतो गणमा स्पेस देख्यो हैन हो त्यसमा चाहिँ का लेख्ने भने चाहिँ बुद्धको वचन लेख्ने भने हो के त्यो बुद्धको वचन बागल चाहिँ त्यो शुद्ध छ हैन राम्रो छ त्यसले चाहिँ मानव जीवनलाई चाहिँ कल्याण मानव जीवनलाई मात्र नभएर प्राणी जगतलाई नै चाहिँ कल्याण गर्ने चिज हो थाङ्का। त्यही भएर चाहिँ जीवन जिउनेसँग चाहिँ रिलेटेड छ भनेर भने हो त्यो चाहिँ पञ्चतत्त्वको रूपमा चाहिँ त्यो चिनाएर त्यो तत्त्वलाई त्यो ठाउँमा जानुपर्छ भनेरको यो त आशयको रूपमा चाहिँ लगेको हुन्छ।
Thangka painting is more than art. It's devotion on canvas, rooted in Buddha philosophy, traditions, and shaped by centuries of Buddhist influence. Each stroke tells a story of enlightenment.
This is not from painter's own mind. This is from the book. So painters, they have to strictly follow the rules. Through meditation, we can understand our true nature. And when we understand our true nature, we understand everybody. And our true nature is compassion. Our true nature is wisdom. And when we practice these things, we find peace, and that peace is permanent.
Thangka painting is not merely creation, it is consecration, rooted in Buddhist philosophy and perfected through centuries. Each brushstroke carries the weight of a mantra, each color a fragment of enlightenment.
खाइबो भन्छ हामीले चाहिँ आर्टिस्टलाई त्यो खाइबाले चाहिँ किन आएर चाहिँ ढोग्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ तीनचोटि ढोग्यो नि त्यो शरण गमन गरे हो कि म बुद्धको शरणमा छु भन्ने हो। त्यो चाहिँ बुद्ध चित्त उत्पाद गर्ने भन्छ कि चित्त तपाईको शुद्ध हुनु पर्यो हैन। त्यो शुद्ध भएर लेखेको थाङ्गाले चाहिँ अरूलाई पनि राम्रो गर्ने पनि प्राणी हितको लागि चाहिँ यो मैले गरेको लेखेको बुद्ध वचनले चाहिँ उहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ राम्रो होस् भन्ने आशयका साथ चाहिँ छोड्नुपर्छ कि हो यसरी चाहिँ लेखेको हुन्छ थाङ्गा चाहिँ।
The Thangka is a visual sculpture, a spiritual map to transcendence. Every artist begins not with imagination, but with surrender to discipline, devotion, and compassion for all living beings. To paint is to meditate. To complete is to awaken. In today's studios, the old and the new converge. Tutors like Sushan Subedi introduce curious travelers to ancient grammar of lines and color.
All of the painting you are seeing over here, so these are known as Thangka, which is a Tibetan word which means the painting that is painted on a cotton surface. Okay, so first of all what we do is, we just take a normal cotton like this and we stretch it on a wooden frame very hardly and very tightly. Okay, so while tying it very hard on normal cotton, what happens is there are some millions of tiny holes. So if you pour the color can bleed. So we cannot do the painting on a normal cotton. So we have a process, we call it the process of canvas.
While at nearby workshops, artists like Sonam still lose themselves in the ritual of creation.
यो चाहिँ बम्बई ड्याङ कटन जुन यसैबाट चाहिँ हाम्रो ट्रेडिसनल आर्टको चाहिँ थाङ्का फर्स्ट प्रोसेसिङ चाहिँ यहीँबाट हुन्छ। सरेस भन्ने गरिन्छ हामीले, यो चाहिँ खासमा र याक स्किन भनेर चाहिँ प्रयोग गरिन्छ पहिलेको त्यो हिस्ट्री हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ। अनि अब यो चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ माध्यम चाहिँ यो ग्लुको काम गर्छ यसले चाहिँ। यो र हामीले चाहिँ माटो मिसाएर चाहिँ यसमा पानी लगाएर अब यसको कति मात्रा गरेर तताइसकेपछि चाहिँ अनि अब हामीले कत्रो क्यानभस बनाउने कतिवटा बनाउने त्यो हिसाबले हामीले यो सरेस माटो भनिन्छ त्यो मिलाएर मात्रा मिलाएर हामीले प्रोसेसिङमा जानु सकिन्छ। हामीले चाहिँ यो क्यानभस बनाउँदाखेरि समय अनुसार मौसम अनुसारले पनि बनाउनु पर्ने हुन्छ। घाम लाग्ने बेलामा बनाउन सक्यो भने हामीले छिटो आफ्नो कामहरू छिटो छरिदो बनाउन सकिन्छ र झरी पर्ने बेलामा चाहिँ हामीलाई निकै समय लाग्छ। त्यसले गर्दाखेरि यो घाम लाग्ने बेलामा हामीले बनाउन सक्यौँ भने छिटो अनि यसलाई आफूलाई चाहिने मात्रामा पटक पटक यता दुई साइडमा चाहिँ क्लिन गर्नु सफा गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ अनि कतिको मात्रा हामीलाई चाहिन्छ त्यो पुगिसकेपछि हामीले त्यसपछि स्केचमा जानुपर्ने हुन्छ। यो सुकिसकेपछि चाहिँ एउटा यसरी पनि हामीले चेक गर्न सकिन्छ हामीले कतिको तयारी भयो भएन। यो आवाज आउनुपर्ने हुन्छ जस्तै अब ओसिएको छ भने बेग्लै आवाज आउँछ, सुकेको छ भने राम्रो आवाज आउँछ। यो
Thangka painting begins with the canvas stretched tight, once upon wood, now upon iron frames. The glue that seals it, once drawn from the yak, now sourced from the maple or synthesized in a lab. Yet in the scent of drying paste, the artist still reads the readiness of the soul of the painting.
So after the sketching is done, second thing we do is the coloring. So while coloring, we have different levels of artists in our school. Like from the beginner level, we have intermediate and the master level of artists. So if you go with the beginner intermediate, they use the acrylic colors. But if you go with the master level of artists, so they use the stone colors like this. Okay, so why they use the stone color is stone being a natural color. So while we apply this sort of color in the art, it remains for the longer period of time because natural thing, it doesn't have expiry date. Yeah, so the meaning and the philosophy of an art, the art itself, it is preserved for the longer period of time. So that's why they use the stone. And for the finishing of an art, so we use 24 karat real gold on the painting. Okay, so why we use the gold is not to make the painting very expensive, but if you see in Hinduism, in Buddhism, gold it is signified as in purity. So to purify the meaning and the philosophy behind the art, so we use 24 karat real gold.
Every line follows a rule, every proportion holds meaning. The face of the deity isn't imagined, it slowly reveals itself, guided by sacred patterns that keep harmony between the world outside and the spirit within. The colors come from the earth, crushed stones and minerals mixed with glue, made to last for generations. Lapis brings purity, malachite speaks of compassion, and cinnabar carries wisdom. These are just colors, they are prayers in pigment.
प्राचीन कालमा चाहिँ यो थाङ्का चाहिँ पाँचवटा कलर लेख्ने हो। पाँच कलर जस्तो अग्नि तत्त्व, वायु तत्त्व, माटो तत्त्व, हावा तत्त्व, पाँच तत्त्वले बनाएको हो। त्यो पाँच तत्त्वले किन बनाएको भने त्यो पाँच तत्त्वबाट हाम्रो शरीर बनाएको छ नि। यो थाङ्का भनेको चाहिँ वास्तवमा के हो भने जे जति थाङ्कामा त्यो हामीसँगै छ, जे हामीसँग त्यो थाङ्कामै छ। त्यसकारण त्यो बेला चाहिँ त्यो नेचुरल, हामी पनि नेचुरली बनाएको हो नि त, प्रकृतिले बनाएको नि। थाङ्का पनि प्रकृति नै हो। त्यसमा अलिक अहिले चाहिँ कलर के छ भने पाँचवटा कलरबाट हामीले मिसाउँदाखेरि अर्को कलर बन्छ। त्यो पाँचवटा कलर मात्रै पुग्दैन। त्यो बेला त्यो रियालिटी थाङ्काबाट नजिक बसेर साधन गर्दा हामीलाई त्यो भाइब्रेसन आउँछ, पोजिटिभ कुरा आउँछ। यो त खालि बुद्धले टिकाको टिचिङ गर्नुभएको नेचुरल फेनोमेना छ नि, नेचुरल माइन्ड छ नि, त्योसँग रिलेटेड छ यो।
Hom Bahadur Tamang, a gifted Thangka artist from the spiritual heart of Buddha, has turned his craft into a global bridge between tradition and business.
थाङ्का चाहिँ मैले 1970 सिक्न सुरुवात गरेको। मेरो टिचर चाहिँ मभन्दा अघिल्लो मेरो दाइ हो, साइला दाइ। मेरो चाहिँ बाउपादेखि नै कलाकार हुनुहुन्थ्यो। पाटन, भक्तपुर,
छामेल दरबार स्क्वायरमा यसै पसल बेच्ने काम हुन्थ्यो अनि त्यो बेच्दा मैले यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ विदेशीले किन्दो रहेछ आफैले विदेशसँग बेच्नुपर्छ भन्ने अलिकति मनमा मलाई अलिकति सोच आयो त्यसपछि मैले 2050 सालमा यहाँ सुरु गरेँ आजभन्दा 32 वर्ष अगाडि
What began as a young artist's journey through the streets of Kathmandu has blossomed into a thriving enterprise where sacred art meets business and tourism. With every brushstroke, home brings Nepal's rich spiritual heritage to the world, transforming Thangka painting into a symbol of cultural fusion.
त्यो बेला चाहिँ पसल कोही पनि यहाँ थिएन किनभने त्यो मार्केटले चाहिँ कहाँ मार्केट हुन्छ भन्ने खोज्दो रहेछ त्यो खोज्ने क्रममा म यहाँ आइपुग्यो विदेशीहरू पनि यहाँ त्यति अहिले जस्तो बस्दैन 5 मिनेट 10 मिनेटमा घुमेर जानुहुन्थ्यो त्यतिखेर खाने रेस्टुरेन्ट पनि एकजना मात्रै थियो एउटा मात्रै थियो अहिले चाहिँ होस् त्यो बेला र अहिलेमा धेरै आकाश जमिनको फरक भएको छ
His story is one of passion, innovation, and a deep commitment to preserving tradition while embracing the future.
विशेष गरी यो बौद्ध स्तूपसँग रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धको शिक्षासँग रिलेटेड यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ संसारको मानिसहरू यो स्तूपलाई घुम्ने क्रममा यो प्रार्थना गर्ने मेन आउने ठाउँ चाहिँ यो रहेछ त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो चाहिँ विशेष गरी ओल्ड हेरिटेज साइटमा चाहिँ त्यो पनि के हो बुद्धिस्टको भएको हुनाले चाहिँ नेपालभरि कुनै थाङ्का बिक्ने ठाउँ चाहिँ अति महत्त्वपूर्ण चाहिँ यो नै हो वास्तवमा किनभने रिलेटेड छ यो बुद्धसँग
From the hills of Ramechhap to the heart of Bodha, Khom Bahadur Damang has a glorious story to tell. A story of will, determination, struggle, and success.
म आफै पनि रामछाप दुर्गम जिल्लामा जन्मेको चाहिँ रोजगार छैन त्यहाँ स्कुल छैन कलेज छैन हस्पिटल छैन रोजगार छैन त्यसपछि म पनि रोजगारकै क्रममा यहाँ आएर मैले सुरुवात गर्यो अहिले चाहिँ म लगभग 49 वर्ष भयो यही पेसा गरेर दाल भात खाएको अब नयाँ पुस्तालाई पनि मैले हस्तान्तरण गर्नुपर्छ है भन्ने मेरो एउटा उद्देश्यले चाहिँ अहिले मैले नयाँ पुस्तालाई चाहिँ गाउँबाट आउनुहुन्छ स्कुल सकेर अनि बिहान चाहिँ कलेज जानुहुन्छ दिउँसो काम छैन त्यस कारणले मैले 3 महिना फ्री ट्रेनिङ दिने गरेछ उहाँको स्किल आन्सर टेस्ट गरेर हामीले यहीँ तलब दिएर जस्तो बिहान कलेज पनि भ्यायो उसो कति हो त्यसो त्यहाँबाट एक्स्ट्रा टाइम चाहिँ 5 घण्टा 6 घण्टा 7 घण्टा मैले पनि यहाँ जीवन चलाउने चाहिँ काम भइरहेछ अहिले
For 49 years, he painted, taught, and empowered young artisans. Today, his school preserves tradition and creates futures.
हामीले यहाँ सुरुमा इन्टरभ्यू लिन्छु त्यसपछि एक हप्ता चाहिँ नि सानो र क्यानभासमा हात ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु त्यसको शरीरको बडीहरू अलिकति ट्रेनिङ दिन्छु अनि एक हप्तापछि ओके भनेर ओके या यस भने कोही मानिस नसक्ने चाहिँ नि आधा घण्टामा 1 घण्टामा उठेर गइहाल्छ म सक्दैन ढाड दुख्यो किन उसको मन धेरै भएर गयो त्यो सक्दैन ऊ आउँदैन एक दिन पनि आउँदैन मात्रै आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो हामीले अपाङ्गलाई पनि सिकाएको छ जस्तो बाहिर कान नसुन्ने पनि सिकाएको छ आँखा चाहिँ हुनु पर्यो त्यस्तै हो
As interest in Buddhism grows worldwide, so does the appreciation for our sacred art. Foreigners now come not just to admire but to learn, studying our architecture techniques and meditative Thangka traditions, giving new life to what was once known only within our borders.
बुद्धिज्म नेपाल हो नेपालमा जति छन् विश्व सम्पदामा सूचीमा भएको मठ मन्दिर गुम्बद छ यसैबाट उहाँले पनि सिकेको वास्तवमा यो जुन बौद्ध स्तूपरा भनौँ लुम्बिनी त्यो जस्तो त उहाँहरूले बनाउन सक्दैन तर यसको चाहिँ एकदम महत्त्वपूर्ण के छ भगवान या चाहिँ दोस्रो तेस्रो बुद्धको रिलेटिभ यहाँ छ जति चाहिँ अहिले संसारमा यो बुद्धिज्म फैलिँदै जान्छ यो महायान बुद्धिज्म त्यतिकै थाङ्गाको भ्यालु चाहिँ बढ्दैछ अहिले जस्तो मेरै कुरा हो मैले 40-45 वर्ष यति थाङ्गाको महत्त्व थिएन किनभने वर्ल्ड वाइडमा बुद्धिज्ममा थिएन विदेशीहरूले जानेकै थिएन उनीहरूले त्यो सुरसुर आउँदाखेरि सानो तिनी एउटा नेपाल आउँदाखेरि सुपर नेट किन नलैजाऊ भन्ने मात्रै लाइन्थ्यो अहिले चाहिँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ जस्तो अमेरिका युरोप तपाईँको यो सिङ्गापुर ताइवान मलेसिया विभिन्न देशमा चाहिँ अहिले बुद्धिस्ट प्र्याक्टिसनर धेरै उहाँहरू चाहिँ गर्नुहुन्छ त्यसको लागि चाहिँ एकदमै महत्त्वपूर्ण छ त्यस कारणले भविष्यमा यो थाङ्गा चाहिँ छ यसको मार्केट छ
As an artist, entrepreneur and a master, he feels fulfilled, creating beauty, guiding others and living with purpose.
मैले संसार जीवन जगतलाई थाहा पायो अहिले हामी सांसारिक जीवन छ सांसारिक जीवनमा कसरी जिउने र अर्कोलाई पनि कसरी जिउन दिने कला थाहा पायो त्यसपछि अब जुन देशमा जन्मे पनि जुन कुलमा जन्मे पनि 100% निश्चित के हो भने मृत्यु छ त्यो त निश्चित हो नि एउटै निश्चित छैन कहिले पनि निश्चित छैन तर त्यो मर्नेमा म कसरी मर्ने भन्ने कला पनि थाहा पाएँ मलाई त धेरै परिवर्तन भएको छ मैले परिवर्तन भयो भने के हुन्छ मैले ठुलो पचेरो चढ्यो ठुलो गा त्यस्तो होइन तर मलाई खुसी छ सादा दाल भात खान पाएछ मैले परिवार पाल्नु पाएछ यही थाङ्गाले म जापान घुम्यो युरोप गयो चाइना घुम्यो बुद्धिस्ट कन्ट्री सबै घुमेको छ सबै ठाउँमा मैले घुम्नलाई मलाई पैसाको आपत पनि परेन थाङ्गा सँगसँगै लाँदै बिर्बिङ गर्दै बेच्दै दर्शन बेचेको हो त्यसकारण मलाई त एकदम खुसी छु म त पनि
Then comes the awakening, the eyes. Until that moment, the thanga is silent. When the artist paints the peoples, the deity is invited to reside within. The canvas breathes, the prayer begins. From quiet Himalayan ateliers to the galleries in Tokyo, Berlin, and New York, thangas now travel far beyond the monasteries. They adorn homes, museums, and collectors' walls, a global symbol of Nepal's artistic devotion.
Mostly, Thanga word itself is a Tibetan word, so this tradition belongs to Tibetan people. This tradition belongs to Tamang. This tradition belongs to Newar community. Although they have different expression of color, technique, the detail, but this tradition, this culture belongs to this three community, and this is kind of passed on tradition. They learn this skill from their forefather to the new generation. This is how this tradition has been continuing and preserving. So it is beneficial for them to live their life, and it is beneficial for the country because this is a culture, and culture and tradition is the treasure of each country.
The trade sustains thousands. From the hum of Bodha's alleys to export crates bound for distant lands, Thanga has become a vital thread in Nepal's creative economy. Yet, as markets grow, so does the tension between faith and fame, between meditation and merchandise.
कला चाहिँ दुवै राम्रै हो हैन आफ्नो आफ्नै फिलोसफी भन्ने हो यसले चाहिँ तपाईको मन भित्रको डेप्थमा जाने सिकाउने हो यसमा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ मिहिन काम हुन्छ कठिन पनि हुन्छ के किनभने यसमा चाहिँ तपाईले चाहिँ अघिको जस्तो धेरै चीजहरु चाहिँ लिनुपर्छ अनुशासन लिनु पर्यो हैन यसको विधि विधानमा बसेर गर्नुपर्छ यसमा चाहिँ अब त्यो चाहिँ तपाईको मनमा जुन फिलिङ्स आउँछ त्यो लेखिहाल्ने हो के त्यो गर्दाखेरि त्यसले पनि वर्ल्डमा चलिरहेछ यसले चाहिँ नेपालले किन त्यो अब त्यसलाई चाहिँ कम्पिटिसन गर्न सक्छ भने चाहिँ यो चीज चाहिँ अरूले गर्न सक्दैन किनभने त्यसमा मेडिटेसन ध्यान जस्तै गर्नुपर्छ के सरकारी स्कुलबाट चाहिँ स्कुलिङ देखि नै गर्नुपर्छ यसको पाठ्यक्रमहरु बनाउनु पर्छ हैन एउटा त्यो गरिसकेपछि यसको प्रमोट हुन्छ हैन हामीलाई चाहिने त त्यो प्रवर्धन हो नि तर ब्याङ्किङहरूले पनि के गर्नु पर्यो भने यसलाई चाहिँ बिना दिदोमा पनि के अरे ऋण दिने वातावरण हैन कलाकारको के छुट्याएर के अनि तपाईको हामीले ट्याक्स तिर्नुपर्छ ट्याक्स तिर्दाखेरि पनि कुनै एउटा चीज चाहिँ कलाकारलाई कुन ओदामा राखेर त्यसको एउटा ब्यालेन्स एउटा गरेर सरकारले गरिदियो भने यसको झन् अझ फ्रस्टिन्छ के फ्रस्टिएपछि त यो नेपालकै लागि चाहिँ यसले चाहिँ पर्यटनलाई पनि विकास हुने अनि त्यो स्कुल कलेजमा भयो भने पुस्ता हस्तान्तरण चाहिँ एकदम दिगो हुन्छ के
All the Thanka has same meaning of peace. So foreigner, they admire philosophy. Practitioner also, they choose deities mostly to practice, to visualize, and they imagine the quality of deities with themselves. And some least person, they want it as a souvenir to decorate for the positive vibe. Some they buy it for the gift for their loved one. Philosophy reminds us about the beautiful quality, and that quality gives us peace, and that peace is everyone searching for. So Thanka painting is very, very important for everyone because it is relevant with our life. If it is relevant with our life, that is truth.
But beyond commerce and canvas, a Thanka is still a mirror, reflecting a way of life where art and spirit breathe as one. Every brush that moves today carries the echo of generations, an unbroken whisper from monastery walls to the modern world. As the sun sets over the Himalayas, somewhere an artist bows before a finished Thanka. His work is now complete, his prayer released. For in every stroke lies a journey from pigment to prayer, from devotion to eternity. This is not just Nepal's art, it is Nepal's soul, painted into time.
It is no more the remote far west, but the wonderful west. Nine districts are in the far west province, from the low-lying Tarai to the heightening mountains. Climatically, the province has all tropical weather conditions prevailing in Nepal. This makes the province a paradise for tourists of all interests. Khaptad, Badimalika, Api and Saipal mountains, Surmi and Ghodagodi lakes, Ramarosan area, Dodara Chandani, Sukla Fata Wildlife Reserve, Tikapur Botanical Garden, Amargari Fort. Dhangadi, the province headquarters, is the gateway to the state. The business hub of the far west region, Dhangadi, is becoming well equipped for political, trade and business infrastructures and other human resources. The far west region of Nepal is blessed with natural beauty. Any traveler is attracted by this epitome of beauty and a gift of Mother Nature. In addition to the natural beauty of the region, you can see the human civilizations rich in culture and arts throughout the province. The people of this region enjoy their unique lifestyle identified by their culture, language and religion. The far west region has the wealth of nature, culture and religious uniqueness to offer to every traveler. Kaptard. The Kaptard National Park, spreading across 4 districts of Doti, Acham, Bajang and Bajura of the far west province, is situated at an altitude of 3,000 meters above the sea level. The natural splendor and breathtaking views revealing geography's diversity is a sight to remember for every nature lover. This is the land of penance where Kaptard Baba lived for 50 years in his pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. There are 22 Patans and the famous Triveni temple in Kaptard. The natural splendor of Kaptard area is attracting many domestic and foreign tourists by the day. Trekking in the Kaptard region is a lifetime experience, especially with the numerous species of birds, wildlife, flora and fauna in the numerous trails. Kaptard is the meeting point of 4 districts, Doti, Acham, Bazan and Basura, a chaste land of Kaptard Baba, an important place for religious tourism. Special prayers and worship are offered in the place during the famous Dasara fair. Some of the major attractions in the region. Badi Malika. Situated 4,200 meters above the sea level, Badi Malika is a famous religious site in remote Bajura district of the far west province. The annual fair on the occasion of Janai Purnima draws thousands of devotees at the Badi Malika temple. Lush green meadows, pure waterfalls and whistling ravines flowing downstream are the major attractions of the natural wonder. Thousands of domestic and foreign tourists flock the temple every year during the fair and other times as well. Badi Malika is popular among people in the far west and Karnali provinces. However, few people from Kathmandu and Gadwal of India also visit this site for pilgrimage. The famous pilgrimage site in Bajura district of Far West province, Badi Malika. There is a popular belief that offering worship to deity Badi Malika fulfills one's wishes. Large fair takes place every year on Janai Purnima. The Badi Malika temple on top of a hill. The 22 patans, various species of flowers, panoramic view of the mountain range. Only a few small tea shops are seen as amenities in this area. One can reach Badi Malika by taking a flight from Nepalganj to Kolti airport of Bajura. Day-long drive from Kolti followed by 3 days of walk. Suklafata. Suklafata National Park is a world-famous destination for those interested in wildlife. The main attraction of the park is the large grassy meadows where the bara singers are seen in big numbers. The flock in the park is said to be the largest in the world. The park is home to 46 mammals, including endangered Bengal tiger, elephant, and anjir, and over 423 species of birds. The national park offers elephant ride and jungle safari to tourists as major recreational activities. The national park along Nepal-India border in Kanchanpur district is famous for watching wild elephants and barasingha, a heaven for wildlife enthusiasts. The attractions: grassy meadows, swamps and wetlands. Ramaroshan, located in Acham district of Nepal at an altitude of 2500 meters above the sea level. Ramaroshan is a jewel for tourists in the Far West province. A place having 18 patch of meadows, locally known as Patans, is a major tourism destination. The beautiful Ramaroshan Lake is the major attraction for tourists here. This area is the only habitat of national bird of Nepal, Daffy, or the Lophophorus. The rhododendron forest along the trails leading to the lake rejuvenates every traveler. Amargadi Fort. Amargadi Fort is a historic castle in Amargadi municipality of Danildura. This fort is an important site of historical, archaeological, political, religious, social and cultural aspects.
Supreme Court halts possible removal of squatters, orders due process and basic support for affected settlers. Nepal reasserts claim over Lipu Lake and Kalapani, seeks diplomatic resolution. Nepal's urban commuters struggle with rising petrol prices. Ride-sharing grows popular but increasingly unaffordable. Unseasonal rains grip Nepal ahead of monsoon. Meteorologists warn of possibly weaker rainfall this year due to El Niño. US and Iran trade accusations over attacks in Hormuz. Trump insists Iran's ceasefire remains despite naval clash. And Nepal A continues winning streak, beats the United States by 3 wickets in Mulpani practice match. Hello there, I'm Diksha Wasti. This is NTV World News Hour. We come to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in details. The Supreme Court of Nepal has issued an interim order on a writ petition challenging the government's decision to remove squatters from informal settlements. A joint bench of Justices Kumar Regmi and Nityananda Pandey directed that no forcible eviction or displacement of squatters and unorganized settlers should be carried out without following a proper step-by-step legal process. The ruling comes amid ongoing government efforts in urban areas to manage and relocate informal settlements, which has raised legal and humanitarian concerns. The court further instructed authorities to ensure that those already removed are provided with essential services, including housing, education, healthcare, and food support based on their needs. The order emphasizes balancing urban management with protection of fundamental rights for vulnerable communities. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has reiterated that Lipu Lake and Kalapani fall under Nepal's territory based on the 1816 Sugauli Treaty, adding that the issue will be resolved through diplomatic channels. Spokesperson Lok Bahadur Chhetri said diplomatic notes have been sent to both India and China on the matter. The ministry also said embassies are running awareness programs to curb informal remittance flows and hundi transactions. In addition, 616 Nepalese have been rescued from Myanmar, Thailand, Laos and Cambodia amid rising online scam cases, while a report on the Middle East crisis has been submitted with policy recommendations and work is underway on a unified law for non-resident Nepalis.
हाम्रो मन्त्रालयमा रहेको जुन कन्ट्रोल रुम छ उक्त रुममा हालसम्म 148 वटा कल 48 वटा इमेल र 107 वटा अनलाइन मेसेज सहित 20 जना फिजिकली प्रेजेन्ट भएर हालसम्म 323 पटक सम्पर्क गरिएको छ भने पछिल्लो 48 घण्टामा एउटा पनि सम्पर्क गरिएको छैन। यसैगरी कन्सुलर सेवा विभागमा खोलिएको जुन अनलाइन दर्ता प्रणाली छ उक्त प्रणालीमा हालसम्म 87,551 जनाले आफ्नो नाम दर्ता गराउनुभएको छ। यो संख्या पछिल्ला 15 दिनमा जम्मा 32 जनाले मात्रै।
Rising international oil prices driven by ongoing geopolitical tensions are increasing transportation and logistic costs worldwide, with Nepal feeling the direct impact as a fuel importing nation. The effects are also visible in ride-hailing sector, where drivers report shrinking profits due to higher fuel expenses, while commuters face gradually rising fares. Amid growing competition and expansion of platforms like Patao, InDrive and Yango, stakeholders warn that balancing affordability and sustainability is becoming increasingly difficult. We will bring more on this in the segment issue of the day later in the bulletin. Even before the official monsoon season begins, several parts of Nepal are already experiencing rainfall patterns typical of the monsoon, raising concerns among weather experts. The Department of Hydrology and Meteorology says the developing El Niño conditions in the Pacific Ocean could lead to below average rainfall during the upcoming monsoon period expected during mid-June. While pre-monsoon rains are currently widespread, officials warn that the main monsoon phase may be weaker and delayed, particularly affecting the first half of the season. Forecasts suggest Himalayan regions may receive relatively higher rainfall, but hill areas in southern plains, including Karnali, Lumbini, Madhesh and Koshi, are likely to remain drier than normal. Meteorologists say this unusual pattern could impact agriculture, water availability and increase risk of heat stress for communities dependent on seasonal rainfall. We will bring more on this in the segment cover story of the day later in the bulletin. U.S. President Donald Trump has said a ceasefire with Iran remains in effect despite a confrontation between Iranian forces and U.S. naval destroyers in the Strait of Hormuz. The United States accused Iran of attacking 3 American warships, while both sides blamed each other for the clash in the strategic waterway. Trump dismissed the incident as a trifle and insisted the ceasefire was still holding.
Yeah, it is. They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle. I'll let you know when there's no ceasefire. You won't have to know. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
Nepal A registered a narrow 3-wicket victory over the United States at Molpani Cricket Ground in Kathmandu, securing its 2nd straight win in the ongoing one-day practice series. Chasing a target of 263 runs, the home side reached the total in 49 runs over a composed batting effort, despite regular wickets over during the chase. The victory comes after Nepal's A's earlier 45 run with over Scotland, reflecting strong momentum and growing confidence ahead of future international assignments. As fuel prices continue to rise, the cost of daily commuting is becoming harder to manage for both ride-sharing drivers and passengers in Nepal. We explore how app-based travel is shaping urban transport, followed by voices from the public. More on this in our issue of the day. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. I'm Diksha Awasthi. Now on to issue of the day. The pressure from crisis of fuel and rising costs is being felt from households, industries, and every other sector the world is associated with. Whereas in Nepal, despite no immediate fuel crisis, rising petroleum costs are also affecting urban commuting, with both ride-sharing drivers and passengers struggling to keep up as app-based travel grows increasingly popular, yet more expensive. Ishant Patarai with camera person Samir Thapa takes a look.
Rising global tensions and ongoing conflicts in major oil-producing regions have once again pushed fuel prices upward across the world. Countries dependent on imported petroleum are facing increased transportation and logistics costs, and Nepal is no exception. As a nation that imports all of its fuel, fluctuations in the international market directly impact everyday life here, from public transport to delivery services. One sector feeling the pressure is Nepal's growing ride-hailing industry. Apps such as Pathao, InDrive, and Yango, which have become a convenient mode of travel for thousands of commuters, are now witnessing the effects of higher fuel prices on both riders and passengers. Riders say a large share of their daily earnings is now spent on fuel, reducing overall profits, especially during long rides and traffic congestion. On the other hand, some passengers say ride fares during busy hours have gradually become more expensive.
पहिला त राम्रो थियो हैन आजभोलि चाहिँ अब पेट्रोलको भाउ 157 देखि अब अहिले 217 मा पुगेको छ तर अनलाइन रेट बढ्नु पर्ने ठाउँमा झन् घटेको छ यो प्रतिस्पर्धाले गर्दा हैन यो पठाओ इनड्राइभ यो एङ्गो अहिले तीनटा यो चलिरहेछ तीनटै काम छैन अहिले त राइडरहरुलाई नगरौँ गर्नै पर्ने बाध्यता छ हैन गरौँ अनलाइनको रेटै छैन दिनभरि बाइक दौडायो पेट्रोल हाल्यो खाजा खायो हैन अनि सर्भिस गर्ने पैसा अलिकति छुटाउनु पर्यो त्यो गर्दा खासै पैसा बच्चा छैन आजभोलि.
The pressure comes at a time when Nepal's ride-sharing market is becoming increasingly competitive. Ride-hailing has grown rapidly in the country, particularly in Kathmandu, where companies estimate that more than 200,000 riders are engaged in the sector, serving over 1 million active users, highlighting its growing role in Nepal's gig economy. Currently, Nepal has around 30 ride-hailing and cargo service platforms operating in the market, and competition could intensify further as Uber, the American multinational transportation company known for ride-hailing, food delivery, courier, and freight services worldwide, is reportedly preparing to enter the Nepali market. Despite the challenges, ride-sharing services remain an important part of Nepal's urban transportation system. With increasing demand for quick and accessible travel, companies may now need to focus on balancing rider affordability and driver sustainability as fuel prices continue to fluctuate globally. With camera person Samir Thapa, Ishant Bhattarai reporting for NTV World.
In this context, we asked both riders and passengers how convenient have ride-sharing platforms been for them. Let's have a look at what they say in today's Public Pulse segment.
Before days, like taxis used to charge us very much, but nowadays, because of ride-sharing app, we are getting like good rates, like affordable rates of like transportation facilities.
अब दिनभरि दुःख गरो हैन दुई पैसा हुन्छ भन दिनभरि कुदेर बेलुका हेर्नु त तेल हाल्यो भने पैसा हुँदैन.
राइड सेयरिङ एकदम सहज चाहिँ भएको छ अहिलेको लाइक अब नर्मली हुन्छ नि अब नभए चाहिँ पहिला चाहिँ यस्तो हुँदैन थियो अनि त्यसपछि खाली पब्लिक भेहिकल्समै जानुपर्ने हुन्थ्यो हैन तर यसले गर्दा चाहिँ लाइक एकदम धेरै सहज चाहिँ भएको छ.
At the moment it has been more convenient to the old people, like if they are not healthy and alone at their home, they feel quite comfortable. Their friend, their daughters or son can book this Pathao or online sharings and they can easily access to their home.
सहज चाहिँ छैन त्यो राइड फेयर चाहिँ अलि बढाउनु पर्ने थियो पर किलोमिटर त्यस्तै 15-16 मात्रै राखे हुन्छ त्यमाथि एपले कमिसन पनि लिन्छ कि अब त्यो कमिसन नलिएर 0.01 को पहिला सर्भिस पेमेन्ट थियो त्यो अब त्यही नै अगाडि बढाइराको भए चाहिँ अलि सजिलो हुन्थ्यो कि त पर किलोमिटर 20 को हिसाबले दिएको भए झन् राम्रो हुन्थ्यो हैन तर घाटा छ यसमा अब मेन्टेनेन्स पनि पर्यो आफ्नै खाजा नि खानै पर्यो हैन
कहीँ जानु पर्यो भने पनि अनि त्यो पब्लिक भेहिकलहरु भनेको टाइममा आउँदैन अनि पठाओ इनड्राइभ मोस्टली म युज गर्ने भनेको याङ्गो हो.
That wraps up our issue of the day. On to the next segment now. Unusual pre-monsoon rain is already hitting parts of Nepal, but experts warn the actual monsoon could be weaker and drier this year. At the same time, global climate monitors say rising ocean temperatures are signaling the possible return of a powerful El Niño. Scientists warn the phenomenon could bring more extreme weather worldwide in the months ahead. More on this in our cover story. Welcome back. You're on NTV World News Hour. Now on to cover story. Even before the monsoon has officially begun, many parts of Nepal are already witnessing rainfall patterns more typical of the raining season. But instead of offering relief, the unusual pre-monsoon showers are raising concern among meteorologists and hydrologists who warn that the actual monsoon period could turn drier and below average rainfall. Siksha Bhattarai with Kamala Aryal brings more on this.
The weaker monsoon projection is likely to affect not only agriculture, but also the everyday lives of people dependent on stable rainfall and water resources. Nepal's Department of Hydrology and Meteorology says the monsoon period around June is likely to be weaker this year due to the developing El Niño climate pattern in the Pacific Ocean. The department has projected below average rainfall across most parts of the country, while temperatures are expected to stay above normal. Although Nepal usually sees the monsoon arrive around mid-June, meteorologists say it could arrive later than usual this year, affecting communities that rely heavily on seasonal rainfall. According to the Climate Science Division, Himalayan regions may receive more rainfall, but the hills and southern plains are expected to remain drier. Southern part of Karnali and Lumbini province, eastern part of Madhesh, and southern Koshi are among the areas likely to receive less rainfall than average. Even now, during the pre-monsoon period, many places have been seeing almost daily rainfall, and weather experts say this pattern could continue throughout this month.
कम वर्षा हुने सम्भावना चाहिँ स्थान विशेष फरक हुन्छ। अहिले चाहिँ हामीले कर्णाली प्रदेशका धेरै जसो भूभागहरू, त्यसैगरी कोशी प्रदेशका दक्षिणी भूभागहरू, मध्य प्रदेशका चाहिँ पूर्वी भूभागहरूमा चाहिँ त्यो सम्भावना चाहिँ बढी देखेका छौं हैन। हामीले चाहिँ त्यसलाई 55 देखि 65% सम्म भनेर देखेका छौं। यो सम्भावनाको प्रतिशत हो। यसले चाहिँ सरदर भन्दा कति धेरै पानी पर्छ अथवा कति कम पानी पर्छ भन्दैन, तर ती धेरै जसो ठाउँमा चाहिँ सरदर भन्दा कम पानी पर्ने सम्भावना चाहिँ बढी छ त्यो ठाउँहरुमा।
For many families who are dependent on rain-fed agriculture, the forecast has added to worries over possible crop losses, water shortages, and extreme heat in the coming months. Meteorologists say warmer sea surface temperatures in the central and eastern Pacific Ocean linked to El Niño are influencing weather patterns across Nepal and other South Asian countries.
As Nepal braces for a weaker and potentially delayed monsoon linked to El Niño conditions, global climate monitors are also warning of rising ocean temperatures associated with the same weather phenomenon. The European Union's climate monitor has warned that global ocean temperatures are edging toward record highs as conditions shift toward a potentially powerful El Niño weather phenomenon. The Copernicus Climate Change Service said sea surface temperatures in April steadily approached the record levels, with May expected to surpass previous highs. Scientists say El Niño, which is one phase of a natural climate cycle in Pacific Ocean, raises the likelihood of droughts, heavy rainfall, and other climate extremes around the world. The World Meteorological Organization has warned that El Niño conditions could develop as soon as May to July. The last El Niño contributed to making 2023 and 2024 the second and hottest years on record globally. Scientists stressed that while El Niño plays a role, long-term global warming caused by greenhouse gas emissions remains the primary driver of extraordinary ocean heat and related impacts such as coral bleaching and marine heat waves. That concludes our cover story of the day. Now the remaining updates. The Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers in Nepal has issued a directive tightening regulation over the extraction, transportation and sale of riverine and mineral materials such as sand, gravel and stones, which are widely used in construction and infrastructure development. The move comes in response to increasing reports of illegal mining activities across rivers and forests adjacent areas, raising concerns over environmental damage and revenue loss. Authorities have been instructed to ensure that all extraction activities comply strictly with existing laws and are conducted in a systematic and transparent manner. The government has also directed enhanced monitoring through local participation, police mobilization, and regular patrols to curb unauthorized extraction. In addition, excavation has been restricted to environmentally safe zones and limited to daytime hours, with further emphasis on labor safety, fair pricing, and monthly compliance reporting to strengthen accountability. President Ramchandra Paudel is scheduled to address both houses of Nepal's federal parliament on May 11 at 4 p.m., following a request approved by the Council of Ministers. Government spokesperson and Minister for Education, Susmit Pokhrel, said the cabinet meeting today endorsed the request for the president's address. The government has also decided to relieve honorary and unpaid envoys representing Nepal in 15 different countries abroad. In another decision, the cabinet approved submitting protocol number 29 of 2014 related to the International Labour Organization Forced Labour Convention 1930 and the ILO Labour Inspection Convention 1947 to Parliament for ratification.
यो पालि पहिलो पटकसम्म त पहिलो पटक नै प्रधान न्यायाधीशको सिफारिस चाहिँ मुद्दाको फर्सेटको हिसाबमा हामीले चाहिँ एउटा इन्डिकेटरको हिसाबमा चाहिँ सिफारिस गरेर पठाएका छौं। यो पनि एउटा एकदमै पर्फेक्ट यही पद्धति हो भनेर पनि भन्न खोजेको होइन, तर अहिलेसम्मको हामीले इतिहास हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ इन्डिकेटरका हिसाबमा उहाँहरूको कार्यक्षमताको हिसाबमा सिफारिस भएको चाहिँ यो पहिलो पटक हो। यसलाई पनि क्रमबद्ध रूपमा चाहिँ यसलाई सुधार गर्दै अझै राम्रो प्रोसेस बनाउँदै जानुपर्छ, तर यो अहिलेसम्मको सबैभन्दा राम्रो प्रोसेस चाहिँ अहिले नै भएको भन्ने हामीलाई लाग्छ।
The Parliamentary Hearing Committee of the Federal Parliament has begun the parliamentary hearing process today for proposed Chief Justice Dr. Manoj Kumar Sharma. The committee had issued a notice summoning its members for discussions on moving the process forward. During a meeting held at the State Affairs and Good Governance Committee meeting hall in Singadarbar, members discussed advancing the parliamentary hearing procedure for the proposed Chief Justice Dr. Sharma. A committee formed to recommend appointments for vacant vice-chancellor positions in Nepal's public universities has officially invited applications for 8 institutions. The Vice-Chancellor Selection and Recommendation Committee has opened the process for Tribhuvan University, Purbanchal University, Pokhara University, Lumbini Buddhist University, Agriculture and Forestry University, Midwestern University, Far Western University and Rajarshi Janak University. These leadership positions are considered crucial for guiding Nepal's higher education system, which oversees thousands of students across the country. The committee has also made public the integrated procedure for selection and recommendation of vice-chancellors of various universities 2083 through the website of Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. Officials say the move aims to ensure a more structured and transparent selection process for top academic leaders' role. President Ramchandra Paudel has said that literature, art and music play a vital role in strengthening social unity in Nepal, a culturally diverse Himalayan nation. Speaking at the Natikaji National Music Award and award distribution ceremony held at the President's official residence in Kathmandu, President Paudel noted that Nepali artistic traditions have long helped unite people across communities. The President emphasized the need to promote Nepali songs and music while maintaining a balance between cultural development and modern innovation. During the event, he presented the Natikaji National Distinguished Music Award to 9 creators, including senior composer Nirman Singh Gurung, along with several other categories, recognizing emerging and established talents. The ceremony also honored contributors in classical music and music journalism, reflecting Nepal's continued effort to preserve and promote its cultural heritage. National Cooperative Regulatory Authority in Nepal has accelerated the nationwide registration process of 11,600 cooperatives, aiming to bring greater transparency and accountability to the sector, particularly those involved in savings and loan activities. The move comes after growing concerns over weak regulation and rising risks of depositors' funds, which promoted the government to establish the authority a year ago. So far, licenses have been issued to around 3,000 cooperatives, while approximately 8,000 others are still under verification and document review. Officials say the initiative is designed to ensure that cooperatives operate under proper oversight and can function only after obtaining formal registration and licensing. The authority has also confirmed that thousands of pending applications, including 3,646 cooperatives waiting documentation approval, are being processed as part of the reform drive to stabilize Nepal's cooperative financial system. In the Kathmandu Valley, traffic police have taken action against 1,806 drivers within the past 24 hours for violations of traffic rules, generating 1,876,504 rupees in revenue for the state. According to the Kathmandu Valley Traffic Police Office, the crackdown included 77 cases of drunk driving, 162 incidents of illegal ride-sharing, 106 traffic signal violations, and 88 cases of speeding. Authorities also penalized drivers for lane indiscipline, prohibited horn use, roadside parking, and wrong-way driving, reflecting widespread non-compliance on urban roads. A further 1,062 drivers were placed under surveillance for various other violations as part of routine enforcement. Traffic Police says the ongoing monitoring campaign is aimed at reducing road accidents and improving safety across the capital region, where congestion and rule violations remain persistent challenges. Now, World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day is being observed today in Nepal and across the world under the global slogan, United by Humanity, highlighting the role of humanitarian workers in times of crisis. The day recognizes the efforts of Red Cross and Red Crescent volunteers and staff who provide impartial, independent and neutral assistance to people affected by disasters, conflicts and high emergencies. Observed annually on May 8, the day commemorates the birth anniversary of Henry Dunant, founder of the International Committee of the Red Cross and the first Nobel Peace Prize laureate. The tradition began after the First World War as a global call for peace and was officially recognized as World Red Cross and Red Crescent Day in 1984. Humanitarian organizations say millions of volunteers continue to serve worldwide, offering relief, hope, and dignity to vulnerable communities during crisis. For the first time, the National Examination Board is preparing to publish the results of the Secondary Education Examination, that is SEE, within just 1 month after the completion of the exams. With the results expected to be announced by May 12, the board has completed most of the preparations and is set to publish the results within the scheduled time frame. Rujina Rai with our local correspondent Anjir Singh Bika from Bhaktapur brings a report.
The 10th graders, for the first time in history, are bracing for their secondary education examination SEE results within a month. National Examination Board NTV of Nepal is all set to publish the SEE results on May 12, just a month after the completion of the examinations. All necessary preparations have been completed and the remaining work has now entered the final stage. Traditionally, the board had been taking around 3 months to publish the SEE results. However, breaking from that trend, the board has set a target to release the results within a month this year as per the directive of the new government. Examination Controller Tukraj Adhikari said the board has already completed the evaluation of answer sheets from across the country within 27 days of the examinations.
नतिजा प्रकाशनको लागि अब अन्तिम चरणको काम आजबाट सुरु गरेका छौं टेबुलेसनको काम सुरु भएको छ अब 30-35 जना कर्मचारीहरूबाट टेबुलेसन गर्ने काम भइरहेछ अहिले। अब टेबुलेसन सकिएपछि हामी त्यसलाई अध्यावधिक गर्छौँ। अध्यावधिकपछि अनि एक दिन हामीलाई चाहिँ रिजल्टको तयारीको लागि लाग्छ। त्यसपछि हामी चाहिँ नि यो वैशाखको 29 हामीलाई तोकिएको डेट हो। 29 सम्ममा हामी रिजल्ट गर्ने तयारीमा छौँ र गर्छौँ पनि।
The board is currently carrying out data entry and verification simultaneously. This year's SEE results will be published according to the later grading directive, including the implementation of the NG system. Much awaited result will determine the academic future of more than 500,000 students nationwide. Despite the early results, the new academic session for grade 11 will not begin early, but the urgency is expected to help students better plan their higher education and future career.
For the first time, authorities in Nepal have installed camera traps in the Dhorpatan hunting reserve, the country's only designated hunting reserve, to estimate the population of the elusive snow leopard. 3 teams operated across high-altitude terrain ranging from 3,200 to 5,500 meters above a 15-day field mission, installing 56 motion sensor cameras in potential wildlife corridors. The reserve, which allows regulated hunting of species like naur and tharal, has long lacked a scientific census of its apex predator despite confirmed presence in the region. Officials say the cameras have been placed along rocky cliffs, gorges and mountain passes where snow leopards are likely to travel. The data collected will use unique spot patterns on each animal to identify individuals, helping establish Nepal's first reliable population estimate for this endangered species in the reserve. International news coming up next, but before that, a recap of headlines. Supreme Court holds forcible removal of squatters, orders due process and basic support for affected settlers. Nepal reasserts claim over Lipulekh and Kalapani, seeks diplomatic resolution. Nepal's urban commuters struggle with rising petrol prices. Ride-sharing grows popular but increasingly unaffordable amid climbing fuel costs. Unseasonal rains grip Nepal ahead of monsoon. Meteorologists warn of possibly weaker rainfall this year due to El Nino. US and Iran trade accusations over attacks in Hormuz. Trump insists Iran ceasefire remains despite naval clash. And Nepal A continues winning streak, beats United States by 3 wickets in Molpani practice match. Oil prices have risen today after the US and Iran exchanged fire in the key Strait of Hormuz waterway. The global Brent oil benchmark price rose almost 3% to nearly $103 a barrel at one point before falling back to around $100. In the meantime, an oil tanker that passed through the Strait of Hormuz arrived in South Korea on Friday, becoming the first vessel to reach the country via the route since Iran declared the strategic waterway closed. The Malta-flagged vessel, Odessa, carrying 1 million barrels of crude oil, reportedly passed through the Strait on April 17 during the temporary easing of the blockade, according to sources. In other update, South Korea's Oceans Ministry said authorities are investigating an explosion and fire aboard a Korean-operated vessel anchored near the United Arab Emirates earlier this week. US President Donald Trump claimed Iran had fired on the ship and urged Seoul to join US-led efforts to secure shipping routes through Hormuz, though South Korea has not responded to the request. Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. said the United States-Israeli war on Iran had been felt through higher living costs and threatened livelihoods. Speaking at the opening of the gathering of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, Marcos Jr. added that many of their countrymen continue to look to them, their leaders, not only for stability, but also for reassurance and hope.
The increasingly volatile situation in the Middle East has impacted our region, challenging us to remain agile in the face of the uncertainties which threaten lifestyles, livelihoods, and lives. Many of our countrymen continue to look to us, their leaders, not only for stability, but for reassurance and for hope.
ASEAN leaders are expected to issue a joint statement calling for the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz and improved crisis coordination amid fears of prolonged disruptions to oil and gas supplies. In more from the ongoing Middle East conflict, Israeli airstrikes hit several areas in southern Lebanon on Thursday, killing at least 12 people, despite a ceasefire amid ending weeks of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. Lebanon's health ministry said the dead included 2 children and a paramedic, where several others were wounded in strikes across other districts. The latest violence came a day after Israel targeted or killed a Hezbollah commander in Beirut's southern suburbs in its first strike on the area since the April 17 truce took effect. Meanwhile, the United Nations reports that around 3 million people, which is more than half of Lebanon's population, now require humanitarian assistance as the conflict continues. The World Health Organization said Friday that the risk to the public from a deadly hantavirus outbreak aboard the cruise ship MV Ontius remains low, stressing the virus spreads only through very close contact. The outbreak has left 3 passengers dead, with 5 confirmed and 3 suspected cases reported so far, as the vessel heads toward the Spanish island. WHO spokesman Christian Lindmeier said the disease was not spreading anything close to the way COVID-19 spread, and noted that even some cabin mates of infected passengers had not contracted the virus. Health officials said contact tracing efforts have been effective in identifying those who had close exposure to infected individuals. The MV Ontius departed Osea in southern Argentina on April 1 for a transatlantic voyage to Cape Verde, making stops at several remote islands along the route. Now it's time for business news. Coming up next, for now, a short breather.
Oil prices have risen today after the US and Iran exchanged fire in the key Strait of Hormuz waterway. The US said it made self-defense strikes in response to unprovoked Iranian attacks as US ships were heading out of the Gulf through the strait, which is south of Iran. Iran said the US had violated the ceasefire agreed in April, according to its state media. The global Brent oil benchmark price rose almost 3% to nearly $103 a barrel at one point before falling back to around $100. Despite the attacks, US President Donald Trump said on Friday the US-Iran ceasefire is still in place. More than a fifth of the world's oil and gas usually passes through the Strait of Hormuz, which has been effectively blocked since the start of the US-Israel war with Iran. Before the conflict began, oil was trading at around $70 a barrel. US President Donald Trump has threatened much higher tariffs on the European Union by 4th of July if the bloc fails to drop its levies on the US to zero. Trump said that after a phone call with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, he had agreed to give her until the United States' 250th birthday, adding that otherwise tariffs would immediately be raised to much higher levels. However, von der Leyen said the bloc was making good progress toward tariff reduction ahead of Trump's deadline. Hours after the threat, a U.S. trade court ruled Trump's latest 10% global tariffs were not justified under U.S. trade law, which could allow future court challenges. A trade deal was struck by von der Leyen and Trump in July last year, but progress on enacting it stumbled on Wednesday after talks between EU lawmakers and governments ended without an agreement. Sri Lanka and Vietnam have deepened bilateral economic and commercial ties through the signing of multiple memoranda of understanding, expanding cooperation in sectors with direct implications for trade, investment, and industry development. The agreements have been exchanged during the state visit of Vietnamese President Do Lam as they mark 55 years of diplomatic relations. Vietnam's donation of 100 metric tons of fertilizer to Sri Lanka is said to highlight agricultural cooperation with potential spillovers into agribusiness supply chains, fertilizer trade, and food security-related investment support. The range of agreements reflect a broader effort to expand economic diplomacy, with both countries seeking to strengthen trade links, encourage sectoral collaboration, and create a more conducive environment for business and investment partnerships across South Asia and Southeast Asia. Honda Motor is set to post an operating loss of around 400 billion yen, approximately $2.55 billion for the financial year just ended, hit by losses related to its electric vehicle business. Japan's second biggest automaker is due to report full-year earnings on May 14th. The company said that the Nikkei report was not based on an official announcement, but reaffirmed that its annual operating loss would be within the previously disclosed range of 270 to 570 billion yen.
Now on to sports update. Pasthar has won the Koshi Province Veterans category at the first national level badminton tournament organized by the Kirati Yakthung Chumlung Committee in eastern Nepal. In the final held at the Arjundhara Badminton Hall in Chapa district, the pair of Deepak Angdambe and Anil Thamsuhang defeated Arjundhara's Sanjay Bhaktaraj and Sham Thapa in a 3-set match to secure the title. The tournament also featured multiple competitive categories, with Dharan players winning the Koshi Province B-label men's doubles and the women's doubles events. In the open men's doubles category, Chitwan School Bahadur Jargamgar and Loshan Tamang defeated a Kathmandu-based pair in straight sets to take the championship. Organizers say the 3-day event brought together 123 players competing across 6 disciplines, highlighting the growing popularity of badminton in Nepal. And now the weather updates, first from across Nepal and then the world. And before we wrap up, here's a reminder of our top stories. Supreme Court halts forcible removal of squatters, orders due process and basic support for affected settlers. Nepal reasserts claim over Lipu Lake and Kalapani, seeks diplomatic resolution. Nepal's urban commuters struggle with rising petrol prices. Ride-sharing grows popular but increasingly unaffordable. Unseasonal rains grip Nepal ahead of monsoon. Meteorologists warn of possibly weaker rainfall this year due to El Niño. US and Iran trade accusations over attacks in Hormuz. Trump insists Iran ceasefire remains despite naval clash. And Nepal A continues winning streak, beats United States by 3 wickets in Mulpani practice match. That's it for this edition of NTV World News Hour. Do join us through our social sites and get the latest updates from nepaltelevision.com. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.